You know, we'll sometimes have 20 or 30 guys.
Yeah.
And it's not feasible to have an arrangement where they can all see well enough just by crowding around.
Yeah.
And when they're wood turning, everyone gets interested in what they call the firing line.
Yeah.
Have you heard of the firing line?
Right up front.
Every machine has a firing line. They're all different. You have to know the machine and know where its firing line is. On a lathe that spins like this, it's a centrifuge, and it's going to spin out that way or this way. If it comes this way, it'll hit me, but I'll be expecting that and I'll be doing everything to avoid it. If it goes that way and you're sitting there, it's very hard to get up and dodge. So there's a row of seats around there, and there's always one row that has nobody in it. And then the last person will come in and they'll be a novice and they won't know this, and they'll sit there and we have to warn them. Now, on a bandsaw...
Under the shroud.
Under the shroud. The firing line is straight out that way, because if the blade breaks and this is too high, there's enough room for the end of that blade to find a way out of the trap, and it'll go whistling down to that back wall, and anything that's in its way will have a very unpleasant time. So, and with a table saw, when you're cutting, the blade is coming towards you. Well, you don't stand in front of the blade, you stand to one side, because especially as you come to the end of a cut, the wood is likely to lift slightly, and if it's not being held by someone down that end, and it'll come up and ride on the teeth of the blade.
Yeah.
And that'll send it whistling down there like a spear. And having a spear in your kidneys is very uncomfortable. So that's 3 firing lines. And if you just look logically at any of the machines, you'll see what the risks are and where the firing line will be. And the important thing is to make sure that if someone's using it, you're not in that firing line. That's a place to avoid. I mean, in real courtesy, the person operating the machine should, in my view, be making sure there is no one in the firing line. But amongst novices and amateurs, people forget that, and a workshop isn't empty, it's crowded. And there might be 5 people in that little bit of space, and telling them all to jump because you're about to turn a machine on is sometimes, it's a bit hard to convince people. But it'll only happen once, and you'll see the damage, and you'll never forget. Anyway, enough sermon.